Hey guys, welcome back. So today we've got yet another organ. We just finished up the Vox CDX, and what we've got here today is actually a very legendary instrument. This is the Vox Continental organ, which was around 1960s. This one in particular is a really early one from my understanding. It was made by Jennings Musical Industries out of England, so it's actually a British-made Vox Continental. Later on, from my understanding, they went to other manufacturers and had them made, but the Jennings manufacturing was the original, from what I gather. But it's a really cool organ, really historical piece, because it was one of the first, or one of the early transistorized organs. So no vacuum tubes in it, which is actually part of what made it so popular, because it's really small, you could carry it around, and it didn't weigh a whole lot. I mean, this thing probably weighs about 50 pounds. When you consider a Hammond organ, that the smallest organ they have is about 200 pounds. So yeah, that kind of gives you an idea of why this thing was so popular. And when you think of early transistorized stuff, you think it's going to be very, very complex internally, and it's really not. This thing's very, very basic for what you'd think. But I'm going to just kind of show you what it is, and kind of show you what I've had to do to it and the repairs. And it's just a really cool piece here. But I will show you something also before we get started inside of it. This one actually has the original cover on it, so it's actually, close it up, it's got the Vox handle on it. But this is what's really cool to me, is it's actually still got the original tag on it. So it's JMI, so I can get that where you can see it. It's a little beat up, but you can still make it out. But it's JMI products. It says Vox for precision in sound. So the original tag, it says the same thing on both sides here. But I just thought that was really cool to see that tag. You just don't see stuff like that very often. But also, let you hear this thing real quick, just so you can get an idea of the sounds. When I was looking at this organ, the instant song that comes to mind is House of the Rising Sun. This is that organ sound. Of course, I don't know how the song goes exactly, but anyways, you get the idea. It's just got this really creamy, warm, very warm sound to it. Very distinct sound. But the way this thing works, I'll kind of show you how this thing works, what's inside of it here, for those that are interested. And just like we was talking about with the Vox organ, I talked about how each had an oscillator per note reference. This has exactly the same thing. So we have a card for each key reference, so C, C sharp, D, D sharp, E, F, F sharp, etc., all the way back to B, so you get a full octave. That's how you actually get your octave frequencies. But what it does is that it has a inductor-based oscillator, so there's inductor-based oscillator per note reference. And then what it does, it goes to these germanium transistors, and that's actually how it makes up the divider circuitry. So this is the oscillator and dividers all on one card, as well as your wave shaping circuitry. So all these polystyrene caps, resistors, etc., are actually what makes up the wave shaping. And so what you end up with is you end up with a waveform. It's not quite a sine wave, because a square wave is generated off the dividers. But I will show you what they look like. We got my scope set up here. This is what they look like. So they're kind of an odd shape, kind of a square, but not quite a square, almost triangular in some ways. Of course, we're getting a higher frequency there, but that's what they look like. So it's kind of an odd waveform, but it works. It works really well, as you can hear. So anyways, what we got all the cards, all the dividers. This is pretty much the organ. This is it. All that's underneath these boards here are some resistors and stuff for mixing. That's really all it is, and it goes out to your harness, to your drawbars. So you got your drawbars over here, and it goes out to the key contacts, and it goes out to a preamp. This is the preamp over here. Power supply, vibrato circuit. That's it. Very simple. And as far as the drawbars go, you got 16 footage, 8 footage, 4 footage, and then your mixture combination slider there, or drawbar. And you do have a sine wave and a kind of what would be considered, I guess, it's an odd waveform, but I guess I consider that more of like a triangular wave. That's a sine. It's more of a triangular. But anyways, that's what you've got. This is the controls you have. And then you got your vibrato control, as you can hear. And of course, you can adjust your speed and depth with these two controls over here on the actual supply. Those two potentiometers right there are speed and depth. So you can actually preset it, put the lid on it, and that's what you got. Of course, over there we've got the lid setting, that beautiful orange top that's very recognizable. And you know, once it's on there, you can kind of picture what this thing looks like. Of course, I'll show you that. But anyways, that's what's inside the organ. It's got a wooden key bed, which is really cool. It has just a really natural feel to it. But anyways, just thought you might like to see that real quick. Let me put the cup on it here, and I'll kind of make it look like an organ. I'll give you guys a direct sound demo of it. Also, before I close it up, I will show you what was going on with this one. I'll explain what I had to repair on this one. So I've actually had this thing for almost a year and a half. It actually belongs to a good friend of mine that's local, and I just kind of work on it in between other jobs. So I've been really mostly just kind of, you know, collecting parts and doing things that I have time here for him. But what we're looking at right now is actually the primary issue we had. It came in here and you turn it on and nothing. It wouldn't do anything that was what the description was by my friend. And so I opened it up. First of all, I made sure it was on 110, which he had done the same. And so it was set to 110 volts. So I checked the transformer. So I checked the secondary outputs. We had secondary output, no problem. Once you got to the rectifier diodes, it fell on its face. And so that was our problem. We had a Wheatstone bridge rectifier circuit that bit the dust. And you can see this is all early solid state stuff. So this bit the dust, which is actually your Wheatstone bridge rectifier, which is this guy here. Of course, you can see I was making notes as I worked through this thing. So there's your secondary windings of your transformer. Goes in here, goes into your capacitors and your actual regulator, our power transistor. And that's pretty much how it works. It's very basic. And of course, then you got your vibrato circuitry and everything over here as well. But that's pretty much what it is. It's very basic problem there. So actually, you can't get these. So I made him one out of I made him a Wheatstone bridge rectifier out of regular silicone diodes, and so took care of that. But what also throws you off of this thing, for anybody who ever wants to work on one of these, is that it's almost like the old 60s cars. Your ground, or your negative terminal, is actually not the chassis. It's the positive terminal that's going to be the chassis, or in this case, the positive is actually the ground. The negative is actually what's feeding the actual oscillators and everything. So it's a positive ground reference. So it's a little bit different than what you typically find with modern instruments. So it's a positive ground. So when you work on this thing, always remember that your negative is actually the voltage that you're looking for on these. In this case, it runs off -7 volts. That's your voltage reference for these things. So that was something I had to make a note of, because I kept finding myself going back and forth. I was like, why am I getting negative? And it's because it's a negative polarity instrument. So that's what we found, and then the rest of it was just bad germanium transistors. We had a bunch of germanium transistors that had failed. These are the ones that had failed, and you actually probably saw these yellow marks. Those are transistors I had to replace. We had a lot of issues with the C note in particular on this one, but replaced those. And actually I found some new old stock, which was fantastic, because I had to put some new old stock germanium transistors in this thing. Ordered them from England, so they actually did come from England as well. So I took care of that, and that's what was wrong with it. So pretty simple. Alright, so now we're just going to give a demo of all the drawbars. So we're going to start with 16 footage. This is what it sounds like. We'll go down the octaves of each of the drawbars. I'll mix everything. Let's hear it complete. There's 16, here's 8, Here's 4. Messed up right there on those notes, I think. Then we got the mixture. That's what they sound like. Now we also have a sine wave in that wave shape here that's kind of like a triangular wave. I think it's actually more of a square listening to it. So we'll go here. We'll pull all of our footages out. So here's the sine wave. Push that in. Here's our square wave. It's not quite a square wave, but compare the two waveforms. One's just brighter than the other. As you can hear, but you can mix them. Now we are with all the drawbars mixed. Then we got vibrato. That's taking out our mixture and combining our mixture. So it's a pretty simple organ. That's really all it is. But it's got a sound. Like I say, it's kind of got that 60s classic. Everybody's heard it. You know, at some point in their life, somebody's heard this organ. And it's just kind of, for that reason, it's got that sound. But anyways, that's really it. That's what this organ is. I just want to take a minute here and show you guys what it sounds like. And for you, Jerry, I just want to show you that all the actual footages are working now. That's part of that division stage I had to fix. But anyways, guys, thanks for watching. I know this is going to be a short one here, but thanks for watching, and there'll be more to come here very soon. Take care. So I now have this thing on a scale. Let's just see what it weighs. We got the Vox pedal and everything with it, the volume control, and the British style connector here for the power cord. And we weigh in at 53.12 pounds. So that's what it actually weighs. And also just show you too, on the bottom of this thing, we got the nice little plate here. It shows you the Jennings Musical Industries. 3369 is the serial number. We just lost focus, but we did. There we go. But pretty cool. Pretty cool to see. We also got, I don't have it on there, but we also got the original cover. So it slips over it, your handle comes through the top here, and that's how that all works. Got Vox on it. I believe this is original to the organ as well. But really cool. But you can kind of see how it looks closed up here. Once again, here's our tag and everything on the handle. And it's got the side latches here. But pretty cool little organ, I have to say. But anyways, thanks for watching.